Hey, folks, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast with your host, Tracy Hayes. We have the best in the house today. This power couple has an amazing story, and I'm honored to have them on the set. Their numbers will knock you off their feet, and it even goes back further, as I'm sure Luke will go in detail. But my numbers in 2019, just short of 50 million, nearly doubled that in 2021, nearly doubled that again, and you're trending again here in 2022. Almost double what you did in 21, which is an accomplishment. With the current market conditions. They both graduated from Flagler College and dedicate their time to local charities like the St. Francis House here in St. Augustine. And this is a quote from their site: "When they are not selling real estate, they love to spend time cooking, creating tasty dishes in their kitchen, going to the beach to surf and fetch and play with their team mascot, Louie, their golden retriever, golfing or spending time exploring the oldest city, which can never end. There's always something new in downtown St. Augustine."
Oh, yeah.
Let's welcome the welcomers of newcomers to St. Augustine, Luke and Sadie Newcomer with the Newcomer Group of Ancient City Realty.
Jeez Louise. It's actually the Newcomer Group. No more Ancient City.
No more Ancient City. Well, you got to get that off your social media.
I don't know
site.
where you saw that, actually.
That came from.
It is on there. I questioned that, actually. I'll have to find it and send it to you. So,
No worries.
So you've divorced the Ancient City.
Yeah.
And you're just the Newcomer Group Realty. Is that how it's?
Just the Newcomer Group.
Just them.
So we were always the Newcomer Group at Ancient City Real Estate. And then during COVID, we kind of had this, we weren't in the office. We were growing. Everybody else was growing. It's just like, okay, let's just open the brokerage and be the Newcomer Group.
Okay. Well, you both, now we know you went to Flagler College. We talked a little bit about the overlap, but one thing I put a note in here, because I was looking at your Facebook and reading that quote that you have, I think on your website is where I stole that from.
Okay.
You guys are doing, because you had all of that in your Facebook post yesterday. I know you were throwing the ball with your golden retriever. He was towing you down the street.
Yep.
On the skateboard, but also you had some food dishes in there as well.
It's funny. I was like, as you were saying, I was just like, I checked every single one of those boxes without the exception of golf.
Yes.
We thought about it, though.
There's really good waves right now. I think I've surfed like 10 sessions since Wednesday, so I'm like surfed out and very happy with that. So, and then Sundays, we always take Louie to the beach. She knows when it's Sunday. And kind of starts going crazy in the afternoon when low tide kicks around.
Oh,
so
yeah. I have a little Yorkie we take out on the boat, and Sunday morning is our boating day, and we take him. He starts going nuts. He knows when I get up and I put my bathing suit on.
Yeah.
He starts bouncing around.
They get it.
Same
They
thing
totally
with her.
get it.
It's like, oh my gosh, it's time to go play.
Yes,
Let's
exactly. Oh, all right. So let's go back. I mean, you both went to Flagler. Are you both from St. Augustine, or where did each of you come from?
No, so I'm originally from Manhattan, New York.
Oh.
So I was born and raised, and then I came to Florida, to St. Augustine, to go to Flagler College in 2010.
Yeah, and I was from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Went to Flagler College. Been here since '09. That's where we met.
You fell in
roots.
love.
That's it.
That reminds I grew up on Cape Cod, and I went to Charleston to go to check out schools, and I fell in love. It sounds like you guys had the same thing. You came to St. Augustine, like,
we were
I can
both
hang.
coastal people growing up our entire lives, going to the beaches, and I think that's both what we wanted to do for college.
I always remember I was in high school visiting Manhattan with a buddy of mine who was going to a private school in Connecticut.
Okay.
Visiting his girlfriends. They literally lived in Manhattan, and we went to the Yankees game and all that stuff. But it's like that's a totally different way of life.
You don't meet many people born and raised in Manhattan.
No.
So like when we the first time I met her, I was like, oh, went up to visit where she was from. I was like, oh, you're really in the city. Like, okay, this is cool.
You're not Queens or Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You're actually
We're in Manhattan.
And it's kind of like its own little bubble too. I feel like when I came to Florida and lived in St. Augustine, I was exposed to so many things that I didn't even know people did in their spare time. I was like, wow, this is completely different life. I'm not used to it.
I had a brief stint because I was an education major where I taught school for a year in Deltona High School, and I had kids that were from the city, or at least the different
the five boroughs.
Boroughs is what I wanted, and they were like, it's too quiet here.
Yeah.
They're not used because of the honking of the horns and stuff that actually goes on pretty regularly around the clock.
I tell them too. Whenever he tries to get me to move, I'm like, okay, it has to have street lights, and I like to be walking distance to be able to go to restaurants and fun activities like that.
Now, so you guys, you guys are right out on St. Augustine Beach. That's where
Yeah.
you've
So we own our primary residence is on, in St. Augustine Beach. We have we have a couple investment properties there. We're building there, and then our office is there. So like literally on one street's pretty much like we have a lot of properties. So like we could walk to the office every day.
Or have the dog tow you on a skateboard.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we're heavy in St. Augustine Beach. Yeah. That's where we personally do a ton of business.
And I know lifestyle was in some of your descriptions on your website.
Yeah.
And I talk about the Florida lifestyle because do you find obviously I know we deal with a lot of consumers, new buyers that are obviously moving from out of state, and when you move from out of state, you might visit the beach all the time, but you don't even realize like what's on the other side or what's downtown because that week you're there, you're only in that little area. You don't realize what's going on. How do you expose some of your new buyers to all the endless things?
Yeah.
So it's funny you say that. So when I first went to school, I didn't even know World Golf Village existed until I got my real estate license. I mean, it was downtown, the beach, and Villano.
Yeah, St. Johns County is just massive, and I feel like you don't know that until you get into real estate.
But to that question, I mean, to me, it's always been about the lifestyle because I love it so much personally. Like, I get to go to the beach, I get to surf, we can walk to the office. Like, you get that coastal vibe, and to me, that's what makes it super easy to sell to people because I'm selling the lifestyle that I love so much.
Yeah. And so we actually, I think this started during COVID too, with out-of-state buyers. We started making lifestyle videos of different neighborhoods that we really like, such as St. Augustine Beach, downtown, Villano, just to kind of let people know and experience St. Augustine the way we kind of do. So if they're not familiar with the neighborhood, it's a great tool to be able to just send to someone and be like, oh, well, check out, all these different activities that you can do in this neighborhood versus, another one.
Because I have a class I teach on community development districts because I was on my board for 11 years. And that's what I tell the realtors, just relax. Don't get all hypertension because it's a community development district has extra fees. That's a lifestyle.
Yeah,
exactly.
They want splash pads and knockatees. That's the lifestyle they want.
1,000%.
Yeah, people will pay for what they want.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They want to go live out on the beach. They got to pay extra for that.
Yes, they do.
All right. So you guys meet in college. You start dating.
Yeah,
you have classes together.
This is the whole story. So we met in college.
He's a bottom line guy, isn't he? He just gets right to the.
Well, it kind of sets a big stage as far as how we got to where we're today.
Yeah,
so when we met in college, I went up north, was working in a restaurant, and then also working for a landscaping company with my buddy's company. We moved back down to St. Augustine to open a restaurant, and we were about to open the doors. We had the location, everything. We got in a really bad car accident. This was, I guess, back in 2014.
Yeah.
Anyway, got hit by a car. Not good.
Two of you together.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
T-boned. Anyway,
we were on a
Sadie was in the hospital for about 2 months, multiple surgeries, was out of work for about a year. I was working kind of part-time in a restaurant just to get through, burned through a lot of our savings during recovery. Sadie was watching a lot of HGTV. Obviously, that's not real life. I've got a small background in renovating houses with my dad. Our friend Taylor at the time had gotten her license, who's actually on our team now. And she was like, you guys should go get your license. So we kind of did that, went all in on it, and have found a lot of success very fast and have been building a team ever since.
Mm-hmm. Were you guys married at this time? At 2014?
We were freshly engaged.
Freshly engaged in the accident happened. Because I remember when you were talking at the Landmark event several weeks ago, and you mentioned the accident. Share with us the mindset of a tragic accident. She's in the hospital for obviously. I mean, even a couple of days is one thing, but a couple of months. That's you're really setting yourselves back. Luckily, you're young and you're financially you can recover. With time, which you guys obviously did very quickly. But I mean, what kind of reset your mindset? I mean, what do you guys dig back and what you're doing today, or some of the things you learned during that time of, real tragedy?
I think Sadie and I pulled totally different things out of it collectively because it affected both of us very differently. But for me, it was like huge perspective. I'm like, okay. We just lost a lot of time as far as where we thought we were going, changing course. And it's just like, I don't want to ever be backed into a wall like that again. So I've always kind of had that perspective of hardship. And I think a lot of people haven't had to go through something like that, which until you go through something challenging, you really never know what that's like.
Right.
And I think it forced both of us to grow up a lot faster than,
Yeah.
you know, probably we were even thinking like we ever would, just because we did have to deal with something, you know, that was so traumatic and
Well, I imagine a
life-changing.
couple months in the hospital, you're spending how much more time in rehab?
So I was actually in the hospital for 2 weeks, and then I was doing rehab for probably like a year and a half afterwards. And I mean, it's still like continuous to this day, you know, where it's like you obviously want to like keep your body in tip top shape.
You're post college. You mentioned going up north and then coming back. Sadie, what do? Are you following him or what?
So
what's
I
she had another
was,
year.
I'm a year younger than Luke, so I was
Okay.
still had another year in college. After I graduated, I moved up to Delaware where Luke was living, and we spent the summer. We were just like bartending, you know, we were going to save up some money and travel afterwards. And being from New York, when the season ended there, I was just like, oh my gosh, it is so quiet here. Like, I don't know how I'm going to spend my whole entire year here. So briefly, we were talking about moving back to New York, and we started lining up jobs, looking for places to live. And I think Luke quickly realized that that wasn't a great place for him to live either. So then we both kind of decided, all right, we both really like to live in St. Augustine.
Back to what we know.
Yeah. I grew up on Cape Cod, very seasonal.
Yeah.
Memorial Day, Labor Day, it's pretty much it.
Ghost town
Yeah.
after that.
When in the 90s, I lived outside D.C., and a girlfriend I had, she had regularly been doing it with her friends. We're renting a house, I think it was Rehoboth Beach.
Oh, yeah.
That's where
Delaware.
my parents live.
Yeah, that's where we were.
And yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, it's Memorial Day. Everyone out there. Oh, Labor Day. Everyone.
That's it.
The weekends are packed, and for the regulars, obviously there's people staying during the week, but the weekenders from DC out there, and yeah, you've got to get what you can, bartending or whatever, and get back. But yeah, they always said that the quiet time in winter times when that's when everyone became an alcoholic because there was nothing else to do.
Yes.
So you in 2016, you go to Ancient City Realty. What leads you? Did you guys go together, or did this happen at separate times? How do you get started?
It's kind of funny you asked that. So we went to Ancient City Real Estate. I think we like reached out to a couple different brokerages. We knew nothing. Okay, absolutely nothing. Didn't have friends in it. We didn't have anybody old enough that we knew that would be buying real estate. We kind of just went in pretty blindly, and we got super lucky. We reached out to a couple people. I failed my license. I think the test 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Pretty embarrassing, but like I'm okay saying that now. It's
That's
like,
right.
It took me a long time to get it. Sadie got it before me, so she started laying the groundwork.
Yeah, and I think I sent a couple of emails out to
She
different
only took one time.
brokerages.
Oh,
Yeah.
she took once. Yeah, studied less than me. Took it one time. She was fine. So she passed first, and I think put some feelers out.
Yep.
And one of the first people to reach out was DJ and Lindsay. DJ was the broker of Ancient City Real Estate at the time, and they were. I mean, they're some of our best friends today, but he was such a great mentor for me personally because it was like we were just getting back in the workforce. They were growing a huge team at the time, but not what they had today.
Right.
And, I was just like, hey, like, what can we do to just get ahead as fast as possible? Because we just spent the last 2 years recovering, and I'm trying to get super far ahead right now.
Right.
So that's kind of how we ended up there. He called us right away. He's like, you can join. And they're like, oh, yeah, you guys just be a team. Like, you go to lunch together. It's a lot of fun.
What does that mean?
I'm like, okay, what's that mean? Yeah.
Because one of the biggest themes that I have all the top agents is education.
Yes.
So this is a situation where DJ reached out to you. You felt you connected with him. Excuse me. You connected with him and followed him. Where we talk a lot with like a new agent coming on, taking some time because some brokerages are made for new people. Some are not. And you got to have, what was DJ giving you at that time to ramp you up as, someone is totally green in real estate?
So for me,
which I think he still does today.
Yeah. So for me, he was like in production, didn't really understand how to run a team himself either. And I wasn't even thinking team. It was more just like, okay, Sadie and I will go on appointments together and just like kind of work with one another. And it's turned into something large. But I'm a big guy of like actions speak louder than words. And like he was always at the office, always making phone calls, always learning more about the market. And it's just like, okay, so I should just imitate what he's doing, put my own spin on it, and it's kind of the snowball effect. We went heavy on online leads. That's how we build our business. I'm still heavily in production today. I think this year alone, Sadie and I will personally do 75 million. Those are all from online leads in the past that have now turned into great clients and referral partners. So we don't really do online leads anymore for ourselves, but we generate those heavily for our team because that's how I build it. And now we've got people like Taylor on our team who still takes online leads, but her repeat and referral business is through the roof now that she's been with us for, I guess almost 4 years. Yeah. So
do we, and I think you would agree with this, we live in that it's not Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Right.
Someone doesn't move in, and probably is not going to move out unless their job moves them.
Yes.
People come here, oftentimes they personally will change communities, maybe move up in a house or move from one community to another, sometimes within a very short period of time, a year or two. But then they're also referring in their friends.
Yes.
The people who they did hang out with in Lancaster, Pennsylvania or Manhattan and said, hey, you need to come here. They're visiting, like, yeah, we'd like to come and do, hang where you guys are at. And those referrals are there from it. So it's a little different market than
very different market. You're spot on with that because a lot of people too, as we know in Florida, where you're buying a secondary home, which is huge for us. Vacation rental properties, secondary homes is a big part of our personal business outside of the team. And, those people are looking in all sorts of different markets. I mean, they could be looking on the Panhandle. They could be looking in Georgia, South Carolina. So, reflecting back to that, following up with these people, we've sold so many homes where they're like, man, honestly, we wanted to be over here, but you just called us and followed up all the time that it was a no-brainer to move here because you're the most accessible person.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You're finding most of the clients have that kind of flexibility that it's not work? Are we working with a lot of remotes, people working remotely, or retirees? What do you, especially out at the beach area, what are you seeing out? What do you see out there?
Little bit of everything, honestly. Not a ton of remote workers in that sense, but we just kind of got in with some really good customers that we resonated well with, and we'd sell them a house back in 2017-18, and it's like they'd get themselves up on an Airbnb property, and it's like it's doing so well, so they get another one and another one, and then eventually they made it their primary residence, and they're semi-retired.
Yeah, we work with a lot of people that it's like a second home for them, so that's why they're not, back to like what Luke was saying, like married to a certain area. They're kind of like, I want to explore my options and see like what's the best fit, and then typically like everyone, whenever they come to St. Augustine, they fall in love with it because it's such a special place that they want to continue to do more and more business there or move there full time themselves.
All right, so I want to just wrap up on. I always split my shows in two halves: the personal little bit of background on you, and then digging into your team in the second half type of thing. Guys, how you guys do business. I'll finish up. Flagler College. I mean, you guys are very young. What influence did you learn there? That has put you, if anything,
so much.
Yeah,
so much.
What are some of the principles? I mean, did you catch it, or it might be just networking? I don't know. What did you get out of attending Flagler that you still kind of?
I think Sadie and I have probably very different but similar answers. So for me personally, I went to school for business, and the thing that resonated with me is because I hated school growing up. It's such a waste of my time. But what I loved,
you failed the test 4 times.
Exactly. So what resonated, Flagler was the only college I applied to, just to keep my mom happy. And I literally Googled colleges that are affordable near the beach, and this one popped up. I did early admission. I got accepted. Never went and looked at the place until school started. So I drive down. I'm like, this place is awesome, and had an amazing experience because a lot of my professors came from the real world. So I resonated with that. It's like, okay, you're telling me this stuff not because it's in a textbook. You're telling it because you actually had success. And it's a smaller college, so a lot of the people that I had classes with, I had them with from freshman year to senior year, became some really good friends. So, like, I mean, our group of friends is all pretty much from Flagler College and hung around. So it was very tight-knit to me and very niche in that sense, which was an amazing experience for myself.
Yeah, I mean, one of Luke's professors even married us, and you kind of just
officiated the wedding.
Yeah. So what's really cool about that school is that it is so small that you really get immersed within the community very quickly. Like even just business owners and like where you go, who you see like day to day. It's like
because you're walking down the street, getting lunch, or whatever.
Well, also like after your freshman year, there's not enough room to live on campus anymore, so you literally have to go live within St. Augustine.
Yeah, you move into
live
the community.
in the cool neighborhoods, and
And something cool on that, so with Flagler College, I don't even know if I've like told anybody, but I go back and I look at how many people we've sold houses to that were associated with Flagler College or alumni. We've done over $70 million in real estate transactions within Flagler College alumni. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, talk about that paying tenfold for your tuition.
Well, we must believe in a higher being, because he just blindly came to Flagler. You actually did research.
I don't know if
and
I
then
did
you meet her.
that
What a
much
winner!
Perfect.
Oh, how interesting. So yourselves, though, you're leading a team. Yes, you went to Flagler, a very respected institution and so forth. But what do you guys stay, or who are you listening to? Because I know, Luke, you mentioned you do listen to podcasts a lot. But are you, is there certain people you like to listen to, or you listen to some person for a couple months and then maybe change direction? What keeps you guys sharp to lead your team and be out in front of much clients that are probably 20, 30 years older?
Yeah, and that's actually most of the people we work with are older, retired, have a strong business background. I'd say that I resonate really well with business owners versus maybe that W-2 employee personally. But outside of that, I mean, keeping ourselves sharp, I'm a huge podcast listener. I love Bigger Pockets, love listening to Tom Ferry. But I don't discriminate. If somebody that I trust gives me something to listen to, I'm wide open with it. And we coach with Tom Ferry Network.
Yeah.
Greg Holthouse has been our coach since day one. We've been coaching with them now, I think, for about 5 years. And,
we like to go to a lot of real estate conferences.
Go to conferences.
Find out what's going on.
Read a ton of books. I mean, that's pretty much what consumes my life.
So let's
taking as much info as possible.
Spin off a little bit with that, because almost every successful person, I wouldn't say every single person on the show, because I didn't ask everybody this question, but coaching. How important is it when you reach a level where you can afford it to if you're looking to bust through a lid, which I think a lot of people, all of us reach at some point, to get that coach or maybe that mentor if it's DJ? Yeah. How important is Tom Ferry has added to your?
I think it's super important. I mean, it's the people that you get to meet through it throughout the country that are doing something similar or more than you. It's everything. And I would also say, I mean, so many people, they just want to do it themselves. And they have a very closed-minded sense of it all, where I want abundance. I mean, truly, you have to be coachable. What got you here won't get you there. It's a great book. But I mean, I live by that, because the market's constantly changing. The way you do business is constantly changing. And if you don't have somebody that's holding you accountable or sharing, their technique and strategy, you're setting yourself up for failure, in my opinion. Yeah. I'd say you can't everybody should have some sort of coach or mentor.
Let's get Sadie, get your input in here, since Luke is doing all the talking. Because you guys do split up your business. He's doing more of a front end. You're doing more of an operational.
Yeah, I kind of run the back of the house.
So how is this coaching, giving you a wider perspective? To me, the coaching that I've had gives me, whether the coach I had for podcasting or longer, is open my eyes to this business is a lot bigger than what you see a lot of times in that one office you've been working in. And it opens your, what has it helped you? Because the most important area, I think, is the operational part.
For Luke and I, especially with us, we kind of just get so caught up in the day-to-day operations of our business that we, sometimes forget of the bigger picture items. And I feel like our coach has always done a really good job of bringing us back to reality and regrounding us about hey, these are your main pillars. This always has been for you guys. Refocus on it and, make sure that that is still something that you're focusing on every single day. Because
you can get up, or you guys get paid when the deal closes. Obviously, we get paid on month ends. Okay, what'd you do last month? You get paid for it.
Yeah.
And you get into this, just, hey, the next one, and you're not looking 10 closings down the road or
a lot of accountability on focusing on your business, not in your business.
Yeah, I think that has been the biggest part of coaching. I know we got our coach in the first place just because we were feeling there was so much going on, and we were we're doing all of this stuff, but we just feel we're running around like chickens with our heads cut off. It's how, this isn't sustainable what we're doing. And I feel having the coach telling us, it's okay to feel like this, but like you can also, change X, Y, and Z in your business as well, was really helpful to help us grow and get to where we are today.
I like that statement, feel like this.
Yeah.
The thoughts go through our heads. Can we do this today? Hey, it's not as good as last month. Is this normal?
Yeah.
And you need to confide, have that person to give you that.
I mean, we're all in business for ourselves at the end of the day that, it's hard to have people that you are able to bounce these ideas off of. I'm lucky that I have Luke to do that with on a day-to-day basis, but it can definitely be hard.
I think they talk about people win the lottery, right? A lot of them, they're done. Or a professional ball player, as soon as they retire, a lot of times they're broke, not shortly after. And as a mentor told me one time, it's your aptitude level. You can only make what you feel you're only allowed to make, because I think a lot of us have that. Oh, we're not worthy of making, that much more money and so forth. That the coach helps you break through that. It increases your aptitude level. It expands your horizon. And now I think the success that you guys had, any real estate agent anywhere would look at your numbers and go, "Oh my God." You guys, and
I do that
all
the time. Like,
it's surreal, isn't it?
Yeah,
Sometimes
it's awesome.
The referrals come in, and you're like, "Oh my goodness, look what I'm doing." I'm sure you've changed many lives of the agents that work with you,
and vice versa.
Yeah.
I mean, our team, not to get ahead, but I mean, an incredible group of people.
Yeah,
and we're very select. I mean, we're always hiring and wanting to bring in, but very selective who we actually do bring on, because the culture that we have is unmatchable in this marketplace, probably throughout the country, in my opinion.
Talk about, because here's one of the biggest challenges I'm talking to agents is making that first hire, right? That first transaction coordinator or whatever. When did you guys start feeling that, like, hey, we need to be just more than
Amazingly, it was all very organic.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is hard
We got to a
say.
point where we were just slammed.
Yeah,
I mean, like, the phones wouldn't stop ringing. We were bringing in more leads than we really needed to be bringing in.
Yes.
And Sadie's always done the main reason
Like
I think we
contract
work so well
management,
together is because we each stay in our own lane and don't really tell each other how to do it. But then when we started bringing in so many leads, we brought in Zach, who's still with us today. He was our first hire, and he started bringing in leads.
Agent.
And then, as a buyer's agent, we just started bringing in buyer's agents. So we never really made that assistant hire until probably about 2 or 3 years in, because Sadie was doing so much of the admin work on top of going on the appointments with me. So it was always kind of like, it felt right, but it's so hard to find the right people.
Yes.
That was our biggest problem. And we've been fortunate. Our transaction coordinator, Debbie, everybody knows Debbie. She's been with us for a while. She was a transaction coordinator for another agent at the time when we brought her on, and it was the worst deal of our lives. I mean, the level of just incompetence on the other side was I was embarrassed for him. But Debbie was like the only constant thing there. And I remember just like, I called her, said, "Listen, you should not be working there. When you're fed up with them, because I know it'll happen soon, call me, because we really need a transaction coordinator." And I think like a month or two went by, and she was like, "Hey, like, is that still open?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's been with us ever since, and everybody loves her, and she keeps her deals organized. I mean, she's managing anywhere from 20 to 40 transactions at a time.
Yeah. By herself.
By herself.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a lot of load.
Yeah, and so she actually only,
You haven't hired her an assistant yet.
Yeah,
that's
no
going
kidding.
next.
Hopefully she's listening. We should be plugging it out later.
No, she's been with us a long time and just amazing. So
You were going to say something, Sadie?
So she actually only manages the team's transactions now, and then Luke and I, we have our assistant Bailey at the office who does ours.
So as I counted, you roughly have about, at least on your website, roughly about 10 agents, and then you have your assistant, and then the one assistant transaction coordinator for everyone else to make up the team.
Yep.
How do you mentioned earlier in previous conversations, Luke, you were talking about how do you guys, as a married couple, stay in your lane? Because there's got to be times where there's frustration, a deal's going sour, so an operation, she wants to take someone's head off because something didn't go right.
It's usually me that wants to take someone's head off.
I figured that.
Sadie's... I'm like
I'm like the voice. I'm like, let's stay calm.
Sadie's the voice
Figure it
of
out.
reason. It's. I don't know how I do it without Sadie, and I think Sadie feels the same way. So we get that
Yeah.
question all the time. They're like, I could never work with my significant other. I'm like, I don't know what I do because I'm good at like maybe 3 things, and then I'm a big idea guy, and then Sadie kind of organizes it and implements it and executes it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it works really well, and I think we both really like this job. We like real estate as a whole. So for us, like, sure, the workday is wrapped up, but we're still talking about things that are going on with work, or
So
we're talking about
shop does come home.
yeah,
dinner,
shop
whatever,
comes home, but
going
it's
down
not
the beach
like
you're talking
you know.
about.
Sometimes there are times when it's like, okay, I'm done talking about this.
Yeah.
Let's make some dinner, crack open a bottle of wine, and just kind of like turn our phones off.
Right.
I mean, I also think that real estate as a career is a lifestyle more than
Yeah.
anything
Yes.
for anyone. So, you know, even if you are a single agent who doesn't have a partner, like you are ultimately still talking about it at the end of the day, or like it's on
Yeah.
your mind or something like that. So really, it's great to just be able to like talk about it with one another, know actually like what's going on and how to get through it.
I think the real estate industry in a whole is because we almost have to live our jobs. It happens on Saturday. It happens on Sunday afternoon. Monday mornings are probably, well, I mean, Monday mornings is, you know, hopefully the offer's in Monday afternoon, you're getting something, but it is 24/7
Yes.
that people are going, it is because it's emotions. And, you know, obviously things are accepted, things have to happen. Every customer from a loan wise is completely different.
Yeah.
You know, and we're, you know, working through that when you're, you know, and coordinating inspections and so forth. So yeah, you have to make this business a lifestyle and enjoy it.
Yes,
Yeah. You
and
can't
we
just
do
check out at
enjoy it.
5.
I mean, we have a lot of fun, but it's like, you know what? If we're drinking margaritas on, you know,
Yeah.
Saturday afternoon and something has to come up, it's like, well, let's just handle it really quick. You know, not too many margaritas, but
Yeah.
you know, to that point too, setting expectations not just with your customers but also the team member. I mean, on top of us managing, you know, we'll do personally 80 plus deals. So when you're doing that many deals and then you have 13 people you're responsible for, it can be really overwhelming at times. So, you know, setting expectations with people, telling your customers, hey, 6:30, I'm a real person, so like if it's not urgent, just send it in an email and I get to my office at 7:45, I can take care of it then.
Right.
And once we started doing that didn't mean the first 2 years we said yes to everything.
Yeah, that was hard to get to that point.
We always wanted to be that person who's like, call me anytime. It's like, I don't want you to call me at 9 o'clock at night. So we started setting really clear expectations in how we operate with our customers and also our team. And that brought us, in my opinion, a lot of just clarity on how we want to live our lives too.
That's such a good point. Yeah, we like to say, hey, just call us at any time. But yeah, those things we know
It's not
nothing's going to happen
sustainable.
tonight.
Yeah, the reality is you can't do anything at night.
Drop me an email. I mean, there's a lot of times I'll be talking to someone if I say, hey, you're in front of your computer right now. I'm out and about. Can you just shoot me an email? Because when I go back, I can look at my emails and I won't delete the email until I've completed the task or whatever I need to do.
But as the agent, you know, the ones that always say, hey, call me anytime. Well, you said they can do it, and now you resent this person because they're literally doing what you said you could do,
Right.
but you don't realize it's like you might have to work with these people for a year. So, like, let's set some boundaries up front so that when they want to break those boundaries, you can say, hey, remember when we talked that I don't work Sundays unless I have at least 48-hour notice, or, hey, it was after 6:30, I told you that's my family time. And they're like, oh, yeah. So,
I think we start in the business, we're new, we just want to be so accessible to anyone because we don't want anyone to come up with an excuse.
and
saying,
you should be.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
When you start.
when you get started, and then you got to start setting those parameters as business. The next two subjects I want to talk about is recruiting agents, which I imagine you guys do at some level, and talk about that. But one of the big things, you follow DJ, you guys have a high volume. You mentioned it, buying the lead generation, and what is it that you're doing at the Newcomer Group, which obviously is, you know, a cornerstone to your success, as it is a cornerstone to anyone's success, is how good they're at prospecting and obviously getting leads, however they're getting them. What are you guys doing there? And just really just flow in to, you know, a pitch to why someone should talk to you about if they're interested in getting into real estate or coming over to the Newcomer Group.
I'll dive into that one.
Yeah.
That's like kind of what I do.
Yeah.
First off, I don't know why agents try to trash what. There's not a bad way to get business. Whether it's online leads, door knocking, open houses, mailers, you should be doing it all. There's no wrong way to get business, in my opinion, as long as it's profitable. and a lot of people just love throwing money into a fire and burning it up just to like have the numbers they want to have. We're really strategic with it. I am huge on conversion. Our conversion with online leads for Zillow specifically is anywhere between 10 to 15% conversion, which is huge. I think the industry average is like 2%.
Yeah.
So that starts with kind of laying down the fundamentals of what we expect, our minimum expectations.
Why do
for
you
the
think
team.
it's that high? Why do you think you're that successful versus the industry average, almost 3 times?
Because we have like truly minimum expectations and standards for our team, and you are trained heavily on how to handle those leads and following up. A lot of people have one call and they're like, they don't want to talk to me. It's just like, call them 15 times, get in front of them. So we have from 9 to 11, Monday through Friday, our team is in the office. We're following up on these online leads. The leads that are coming in, people are assigned to. So instead of floor duty, we have lead shifts. So that person that's on lead shift is going to be taking leads from 8 to 12, 12 to 4, 4 to 8. So
And that's
12
any
hours out of
inbound
the day.
lead
And
to
that
the
person's
company.
assigned to it. So, I mean, you could get a multi-million-dollar lead or you could get a, $50,000 lot lead, but our agents are getting anywhere from 20 to 30 leads every single month that are coming in from online leads, not on top of just the agent-to-agent referrals or incoming leads from other sources.
Circle of influence.
So it's structured and making sure everybody's following up, because the reality is like it's going to take 90 days for that lead to become a customer and to a sale, and sometimes it takes longer than that. So I would say that we follow up aggressively. I mean, you follow up till they buy or die.
Now, that's, I think when you mentioned some people, I don't know a word, despise or don't agree with your aggressive lead buy.
Yeah.
It's because they just aren't comfortable
Yeah.
with the phone. It's just like cold calling or whatever. There's some people that will do it and
Yeah.
have no problems, set the dialer up. And they're waiting to take the next call. Some people can do it.
Yes.
Other people don't like to do it, so they got to prospect a different way and finding that way. When you're recruiting these agents, I assume you're setting this expectation
Yeah.
that this is how, if you want to be successful like the two of you are,
Yeah.
this is how we did it.
I try
so
to
I'm going
talk
to show you
people-
that.
We
I
pretty
try to
much tell
talk-
them that right away.
I talk them out of joining the team.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want you to join, because the main reason when people do leave our team, our retention's incredibly good, but the main reason people leave is usually because it's more work than they were expecting. So I just try to tell them, like, hey, like, you got to do all of this stuff, and if you don't do it, you can't be on this team. But the amount of opportunity we create, if you cannot fall into 2 deals a month, I don't think you're literally just not trying. That's how easy we've set it up for our team.
The training, you mentioned that. Give us a snapshot of I started my career at Quicken Loans. We spent the first 30 days, and this is call center stuff, in a training to learn what mortgages were. And then after 30 days, we were on the floor and we're taking calls. And at that time, you didn't have to be licensed, but in a handful of states. So, that dialer's going, or actually at that time, when I first started, you had to sit there and you're clicking that little icon on the screen and it was dialing for you, and then you moved to the next lead and you clicked it and it dialed for you. It takes a mindset, it takes a focus to keep there. So what are some of the things that you're taking these people never really probably envisioned it being done this way? They've obviously come on the team, but what are some things you train them to be successful there?
Well, so we have about like a 2-week period for training, right, or onboarding, right, when someone comes onto the team. And that's really just to kind of get them familiarized with our systems and taking a deep dive into, how to use these tools every day at the level that, is effective in order to have a successful real estate transaction. And after that, we also have a mentorship program. So for the first 3 deals that a new agent does on the team, that they have a mentor, team lead perspective of someone, if they are not sure what's going on, if they kind of are second guessing, any choices that they're making, that they have that right-hand man there guiding them throughout the whole process.
And that can continue if they want.
Yes,
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
Go on,
I mean, Sadie overlooks almost
enough.
every single
Yeah.
contract in the team. I mean,
Right.
we're very accessible there, and it's like, we don't want people, to me, yeah, we do a lot of volume, but we are so in demand because of our authenticity and our brand that I care so much about the process and the transaction, and it's such a big deal. And I think agents forget how big of a deal it is for that buyer or seller.
Sure.
So we want everything to be as tight as possible on our end.
Because you are doing a large volume.
Yeah.
Your agents are doing more, like DJ and Lindsay. Their average agent is doing a lot more than an average agent out there. And you can lose perspective when you are doing volume like that.
When you're making 50 to 100 calls a day and you're doing all these deals, it's easy to ignore the importance of what's actually going on.
Right.
And that's something we try to never let off on our team, because it's, it is a big deal. It should be celebrated. It shouldn't just be like, what's next? And we preach to our teams. I'm a big advocate of, until you got 100 deals under your belt, you're a rookie. I don't care how long you've been doing it for. You need 100 deals under your belt, and then you really understand the process. But that's, once you get those 100 deals and you actually treat those sales like gold,
Right.
those people will love on you forever, and they'll tee you up for the easiest deals of your life and make the best introductions to you.
All right. So to me, the agents out there, the naysayers of the way, because the amount of online leads and the dials and so forth that you're saying, probably are losing, and I think this is the linchpin of what, at least for me being an outsider, the linchpin here. You've got all these calls coming in. How do you stay focused to go with your brand, as you just mentioned, the authenticity, and we're gonna get into that in a little bit, but to blend into that next part of this, how do you do that with that volume and keep them focused on going that little extra, putting that little extra spin on it, the authenticity, the personalization, whatever word you want to put on it, to really win that customer? What are you teaching there? What are some of the things you're doing, whether it's a script or just a process?
Man, that's a great question. It's like a hard one to answer, honestly.
That's why it's the linchpin.
I have the word that you're looking for. We want to be their local market expert.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. We want them to come to us for everything, about everything when they move to the area. We want them to come to us about where to go eat, what handyman they need. I need a new roof. Who should my roofer be? You know, we want to really be the person that they lean on heavily.
So how do you express that when you got them on that phone the first time from that online lead?
So this
you
is the
actually got their
script.
attention? How do you get
This is the script. I don't care how the lead comes in. You go for an appointment within the first sentence. Okay, so when that lead comes through, it's just like, hey, Tracy, I saw you're interested in 123 Main Street. What time today would you like to see that? Book the appointment, get off the phone. Now, if they're out of state, you start building that rapport. And my favorite line that I preach to the team, because I do mean this, is, I don't care if you're going to buy today or 2 years from now. I just want to be that person that you come to when you need something, right? I'm not a pushy salesman. I love sales, but like, I'm not the guy that's like, oh, you got to move right now. Let's do this right now. It's like, no. Let's learn a little bit about what's important to you, and then put the timelines in place to actually implement a strategy that works for you, because this is not a one-size-fits-all business. And the minute you take your commission, get rid of your commission breath for these people and come off as a normal person, you become very in demand.
I'm a don't tell me, show me person.
Yes.
So based on what you said, Sadie, that you want to be, how do you get that across? Maybe that person called in, they're going to go see 123 Main Street. How do I actually show them on that all-purpose?
Well, I think that does come with time and developing the relationship, like
Following up.
follow up.
Checking in, like if they're coming into town for a couple weeks, give them 3 restaurant recommendations, and then call them 2 days later and say, hey, it's like, hey, did you go to that restaurant I told you about? Did you get the steak I told you about? Like, doing those little things are a huge deal. Or
It develops the relationship.
if they're up north and it's beautiful down here, send a screenshot of the weather. Be like, it's 80 and sunny. Like, when are we doing this? Get really personal with them. Understand that they have dogs. I mean, I'll send them pictures of my dog. Like, people I don't even know, it's just getting in front of them and just learning what they care about. Going back to actions speak louder than words. I mean, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
They don't care that you're the number 1 sales team or that you sold all these properties. They just want to know how you're going to treat them. So we go deep with that kind of stuff, and that's dedicating time to follow up with these people.
So you guys answered. So to those listening, you're creating this. You're already offering, hey, here's some great restaurants. Have you been down to the Pirate Museum? Whatever it is, you're creating, or been on this tour, you need to take it, bring your friends and family, and already creating that. Now, obviously, those who go and taste the steak, they're like, hey, Luke knows what he's talking about.
That's it.
And he thinks of you when he's eating it, or she does, yeah. what is your act when you guys are out there? Are you actively recruiting, or agents are coming to you? How, or I mean, what's your overall vision for the team? Are you looking to get the 20 agents over time?
You know what? You might have a better answer than me. It's not about how many agents we have. It's about the quality. Right now we do need more agents, but it's not like, we're going to go out of business tomorrow if we don't meet that demand. I probably get 3 to 5 agents that reach out to me every single week, but I'm not setting up active interviews with them. Like, for us, it's just the quality of people.
And the culture. I mean,
culture.
The agent, they have to be full-time. They have to come into the office Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 in the morning, so there are certain things that they need to meet in order to want to be on the team and prosper on the team.
Get up and get your business going.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. And, I mean, everyone at the team, like, they get along great. They all hang out with each other on the weekends. They bounce ideas off of one another. It really is a team environment there. And
Tons of collaboration.
That's important to us as well.
The agents that you have now, were they all rookies? Or, I mean, not rookies to 100 thing, but have you got a mix that have transferred over, or newbies like you guys were going in agents?
Most everyone that has joined our team has been newer, but a lot of people have been with us for a while. So, like, perfect example, we have this team member, Elizabeth. I think it's her first full year in business. She's already at $14 million in closed sales, first year in the business. And then we have someone like Taylor, who's been with us now, I guess, for 4 years. She's got well over 100 deals under her belt. She's already sold 30 houses this year. So it's like, we've got seasoned agents, but the newer agents that are coming in get to learn from the people that have kind of been doing this longer. I would love seasoned agents to join. That's kind of what we're focusing on more, because training newer agents is a lot of work, and it's very time consuming. I mean, anybody that's a single agent that's been doing this and grinding for the last 5 to 6 years and wants that consistent of lead flow, deal flow, and support, to me, it's a no-brainer.
And I think we're getting a few more agents more recently, too, that have kind of been in the business for like a year or so, and we're looking for a little bit of a change.
Well, they reach a lid. I talked to a lot of the podcasts, if you've listened to them, they reach a lid, and then they're looking to move to another brokerage. And the people that have that W-2 mindset, 9 to 5, that can take volume is not an issue with them. They want to be successful. They're just trying to, like, some people can create their own path. Some people need the path created to it, and they'll run the path. They'll run the play perfectly.
And I think, I genuinely believe you're either going to be on a team or you're going to have a team. And there's not a right or wrong way to have a team. I mean, you could be one person with 3 admin, 2 showing assistants, or you could have a team like Sadie and I's, or a big team like DJ's. But to say that you're going to do it all yourself, I truly believe you're setting yourself up for failure.
Right.
You can't just do it all yourself anymore.
No.
The consumer expects way too much, and the consumer deserves way more.
Not if you plan to go to the beach and throw the ball at the dog
exactly.
Anytime. You mentally can't take it. And how important that, as you guys are still young people. I mentioned Billy's book here.
I'm excited to read that.
Yeah, he talks about getting up in the morning and he goes for his walk, but he takes 20 minutes where he doesn't listen to anything, because he'll listen to a podcast. But he takes 20 minutes where he doesn't listen to anything and lets his mind catch up. Do you guys find that as business owners now that you need to, like, step out, go down, walk to the beach or whatever, and really just let your mind catch up? How important it is to look at your business from 30,000 feet and just let things fall into your thoughts.
So yes, I think we both have different answers on that. Definitely, we need to just, like, unplug more than we should. Nothing's really ever that important that needs urgency, but I also think urgency is important in this business. So I'm pretty good about just setting that boundary. What we talked about is just like, okay, I'm done dealing with this. Right. And then in the mornings, like, I'm not trying to dive right into work the first time.
Well, you say you go home and there's times where you literally shut off the phone.
Yeah, I'll turn it off sometimes.
Yeah. Or put it on silent, so you maybe go check it later because the messages will pop right up. But you got to check out. Yeah. Because you're leading a group of people that if you're so in the trenches all the time. You never actually step out and see
and
what's
to
going
be
on.
intentional, like with whatever you're doing at that point in time. Like if you're going to be working, like be intentional with your work. If you're going to be, working out.
I mean, we sat down and turned our phones off for this. I'm gonna probably have 100 text messages when I open it up. But like, it can wait.
Yeah, exactly.
So we set time aside to do this.
I like Melissa Rick. She says during the day, if you want to get a hold of her, you have to text her, because if you call the phone, it's gonna her assistant's gonna get that call.
Yeah.
So because she is the front person and she's doing what she's doing there. All right. So here's some key things that we have, and I get each of your opinions here. We round up. We talked about education, but even the new agents, they're not getting all their education from you. What are you setting them on direct path, saying, hey, I want you to listen, because I'm sure Tom Ferry's books or reads. Are you recommending that, hey, I want you to listen to A, B, and C? And how important is it to go over to the board and take the classes that are being offered by the other senior agent, it's about how to read the contract, or all the different things that are offered there. Not just for your CE credits. You got to level up your education.
1,000%. There's a couple answers to that, because I'm huge on education. First off, with Tom Ferry, we actually have our team in coaching with us. We're on a higher platform, so they meet with Greg, our coach, twice a week without us there. Once a month. Yeah. And then I run workshops every other Wednesday where we talk about sales training or contract writing and do all of that. We're constantly sharing different podcasts that we're listening to.
And then we have team meetings every Tuesday.
Yeah, and then we have team meetings every Tuesday, and it's like, the stuff I'm sharing is not things that I personally believe. It's like I'm pulling it from outside people that are doing even more than what our team's doing. Yeah. And it's a collaborative effort in that sense. So I'm always trying to personally sharpen my skills and share as much of that knowledge as possible with our team. And vice versa. I mean, we learn so much from our team.
Yeah. I want to go back, as Sadie mentioned earlier, everyone, 9 to 11, Monday through Friday, everybody's in there.
Yeah.
And then you've got your sales meeting on Tuesday and so forth. Showing up is a common theme. I'm sure when you label that, you have to be in the office every morning at 9 o'clock, Monday through Friday. For some of these new agents, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to stay at home in my pajamas. And they're missing out, obviously, on the opportunity. But then it relieves you of being frustrated, because we are human. We have emotions. Yeah. When someone joins the team and when someone leaves the team, you kind of feel a little bit, goes with you. You feel sorry, hey, was it me or was it them? And, that type of thing. But the importance of, in your case, on your team to show up to the team activities, because you guys do drive that culture. Yeah. And how important is showing up. And if an agent's not part of, obviously, your team, but showing up to these events, getting was a seminar that's going on, how important is showing up?
It's everything. Yeah. I think it goes back to asking how we educate our team. It's like when everybody's at the office making the calls, you're learning from one another. Someone's on the phone handling an objection. It's like, oh, I heard that sounded really good. I'm going to try it with this person. So to me, I think, I always try to lead by example. So I try to always be that first one there, last one out. I still prospect like crazy. And, there's nothing above or below what anybody should do on that team, from taking the trash out to going on a multi-million-dollar listing appointment.
Let me ask you, you prospect, what is I think we all get our own natural highs off different things that we do. Yeah. Does winning that customer's confidence?
I'm a deal junkie. I don't, by the time the closing comes and the check's processed, I'm over it. It's not even fun to me.
Get me on to the next one.
Best story ever, or at least for me personally. So I closed a $4.2 million listing this year, which was one of 4 that ever sold on the island. And I got that listing by cold calling through a customer who bought 4 or 5 properties from me through a 1031 exchange. He was like, hey, are there $4 million houses in here? I'm like, not really. I was like, but where's the address? He's like, right here. I'm like, give me their number. He's like, I don't even know her. I'm just like, I won't tell her you gave it to me. So I get the number. I know exactly where the house is. And to be true, I wasn't trying to get business out of this phone call. I'm just talking to as many people as possible. Yeah. Right. Creates really cool opportunity. And I remember I called these people out of the blue. This lady answers. I'm like, hey, I just want to tell you, I love your home. I'm not kidding. I drive by it every Sunday. We go have lunch at Commander's. And I always say I love that house because it's so well maintained. I said, if you ever want to give me and my wife a tour, I'd love that. She said, yeah, why don't you come over tomorrow? I'm like, okay. So we rock up to the house. They give us this tour. It's a beautiful house on the ocean. I mean, gorgeous. Everything about it. You can tell they love it. Yeah. We sit down and I said, hey, I ask everybody this. At what price are you a seller? And, they put a pretty big number out there. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I have anybody for that. So we do a lot of off-market deals.
They were kind of stumped by that question, too. They were like, oh, my gosh, no one's ever asked us that before. Like,
so, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks go by. We send them flowers. Thank you for their time the very next day. And 2 or 3 weeks go by, and she calls us, hey, we want you to come sell our house. And out of that, we got this amazing...
This is just weeks later.
2 weeks later. They're like, hey, we talked about it. We're going to move back to South Florida, get a place in the mountains. And she's like, why don't you come sell our house? And it was just like, game on. And they hired us going back to, we're not pushy people with commission breath. Like, I genuinely just wanted to see the house because I love the house. And, I asked her why she hired us. She's like, you guys are all in. She's like, you didn't push us to sell. It wasn't anything like salesy. She's like, you just have that reputation. And you came from a place of service and value as opposed to getting a deal. And luckily, we got a deal out of that. We got another multi-million-dollar listing out of that. And we got multiple deals out of that one listing. So I'm all about picking the phone up and calling as many people as possible. Because it takes one person to change your business.
That's an amazing story because we talk about now, obviously, the beach community is a very tight. People say, what do they say? Something, you go on the island, you don't come off the island.
Yeah.
I hate leaving
Don't
the
make me
island.
cross the bridge.
Yeah. It's a big deal coming out here for me.
But any agent who's living in any of these subdivisions can have that same type of interest.
Well, we do all of St. Johns County.
Right.
And we have these types of scenarios all throughout the county. It's just that story is cool because of the price point, but we have hundreds of those stories just like it all throughout St. Johns County.
Right.
I mean, those are opportunities in any type of market.
And it's beautiful because inventory is low, and I was thinking that's what everyone's talking. Oh, well, the inventory is going up a little bit. Okay,
Not really.
a little bit, but it's not like it was before. And now you got to battle the interest rates because now people are. And I think I think you would agree with this one. I've been telling people this one recently because I had it literally on Friday. I think this is the reason why they backed out was when you start getting up in the higher hundreds to $1 million plus. Those buyers are looking at their investment accounts.
Yes.
And when their investment accounts are not doing well, they don't feel well.
Yeah.
And so they start double thinking buying those value homes. Their market, their investments are doing well. They're all in.
Yep.
No problem. But the great thing about it is create your own inventory, get on the phone. Like you said,
so
if you live in a subdivision, you're going by some nicer houses, which you have buyers for.
Yeah.
Make a phone call.
Go talk, knock on the door. I mean, to that point too, most of we work with that higher end customer. My average sales price is $1 million plus. So there's a level of sophistication that you need to bring to the table when you're talking to these types of people and resonate with. And the one thing we've found a lot of success with is having really strong agent to agent relationships locally. There's one agent in particular in our market. Him and I have done probably over 10 million together this year alone. Most of them off markets. So if you know an agent that lists a lot of property in a specific area, call them up and say, hey, I've got a buyer looking for X, Y, and Z. And they're going to be like, hey, I'm about to list this property. They'll do the deal before we go to market, blah, blah, blah.
Or I got a couple on the edge.
Yeah.
They're not sure what's going on. Maybe if we make an offer, they might take it.
So those are the types of deals that we source through a challenging inventory market, and we're still doing that today. So those off-market opportunities are everywhere, in my opinion. Getting creative for your customer.
We talked about pre-show, but as many as there are agents here, there's that many ways to do this business. And if you're operating, and there's single agents that just like to go out and work their circle of influence. My wife's that way. She just works, she works her little thing down in King and Bear because we're in the Latero condos. We got units there, and people come and go and rent when you run into people. But if you want to run it as a business, because you're waking up every day, and you're like, okay, I've got a team, and this is a business. Who's sinned there? But
that's the change of lead shift.
So, as they jump out of the camera, they're listening. Is you're running your business every day, and the business is how you're a matchmaker, right? If you're running a dating business, you've got to find not to be, but guys and girls, right? You got to
Sure.
find guys who are single and girls who are single and that want to meet people, and you got to put them together. You've got the one side who wants to buy houses and there's low inventory. Well, you've got to get on the phone and I think this is what 99.9999 are not doing, agents and so forth, is calling select people. Say, you know what, I got someone who would actually probably really like your house. Are you interested? You know, they're not taking that. And I mean, how many phone calls is it? It doesn't. You're not calling hundreds a day.
No.
You're calling a few a week or whatever. But you're keeping it moving.
And I think the important, like, one big takeaway from that is, and sorry for the phone going off, it was lead shift, so it's definitely noon. But the one thing that I pulled from that is so many people wake up and they want to be, they're motivated, right? And they're like manifesting all this great stuff. And it's like, that's temporary. Being really disciplined always outweighs motivation, because it's like, I know when I wake up from 9 to 11, I have to make my phone calls, whether I'm in the mood to do it or not. You got to do it. As opposed to, I'm really in the mood to make my calls. Well, then you might have had these great conversations, but then 2 weeks go by and you weren't motivated to make the calls, and those people went out and have already transacted. So there's so much money in the follow-up, in my opinion, which is why we make our team follow
You're not the
up
first
that way.
person that said that.
Yeah.
We've all heard that in any of these industry events you're going. It's all in the follow-up and staying top of mind.
Being disciplined.
You know, that's why a lot of people, they try to leverage social media to stay top of mind. It's a lot easier than texting them to pop up on their social media feed.
And I'm friends with everybody that we sell houses to, so that way they get to see I'm out there doing business. We are doing normal things like cooking and traveling and going on vacation, but I do a ton on my personal social media. If you follow Luke.Newcomer, especially on Instagram, you know, I'm always sharing everything that we're doing because I want to stay in front of people as much as possible.
Right, right. Showing up. You've mentioned DJ because one of the common themes, the last big common theme, is surrounding yourself by successful people. And I think just to recap, and if you want to add anything to it, obviously DJ's very successful. He's in your circle, your immediate circle there. You're following Tom Ferry. You're not hanging out, you know, he doesn't live in town, but I'm sure you see him and go to events, and you're listening to his podcast. You're involved with him. You're in his circle. He's in your
ecosystem.
circle.
Yeah.
How important has that been to your overall success as in running the business? Surrounding yourself by high-level people.
I mean, I think it's everything, because you're able to bounce those ideas off of them and kind of see what they're doing to be successful, and you know, take what you want and leave what you don't to see what works best for your business.
And I would add too, like, you know, it's not just about people who are successful. I also think it's like how they are as humans. Like some of our best friends, maybe they don't have mega businesses, but it's like they're amazing parents. They're amazing spouses. They set a good example.
Well, that's just another circle.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
not your business
so
circle,
it's like
your personal circle.
All of that stuff, in my opinion, correlates with business and personal life. So,
and I don't think it's only business. I think it is lifestyle as well, of just, you know, being well-rounded and, you know, how your everyday life goes.
People like to be around, they like to be around attractive people, positive people, people that are, you know, involved as you guys are. And I think that's one of your high level of attractions is you guys are out there, you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're involved in it, and you're reaching out, you're helping others. You're if you had an 8th day in the week, you'd definitely be using it.
When I think Sadie and I both do so much without expecting anything in return.
Yeah.
Like, just being nice goes such a long way. And just not even having to try to be nice. Just like, okay, I'm just going to do this. If I get nothing out of it, great. That's okay. You know, just doing things without expecting anything in return pays really big dividends.
This is the big question. What's been your biggest mistake?
We were just talking about
Hard question, yeah. I don't know if I would pinpoint like a big mistake or anything. I mean, I think, you know, when, you know, challenges come up, it's all about like how you handle them and how you can learn from them and better yourself from them more than anything.
Well,
like, there's nothing that sticks out to me that was like, oh man, like that
you're sitting in a circle of other, you know, Tom Ferry's put a circle of top agents together, you and DJ, and maybe there's 4 other people around the country. What would you tell them not to do?
Probably not. I was going to say our biggest mistake maybe was not hiring an assistant as quickly as we did. We should have
I wish we
hired
made. I mean,
one much faster than we did.
I don't really have any regrets on how we've done everything. I just wish we did it all faster.
Right.
I wish someone sat me and I was like, you need to do these hires now. You'll be really grateful for it. And hire for where you're going, not for what you need. It really resonates with myself. But, yeah, just making those hires sooner.
Yeah, I think our biggest mistake was thinking that we could do it all ourselves for so long and holding on to that versus just letting it go and
trusting in someone or taking the due diligence of hiring, which Billy, you'll get out of there and really probably a great guy that I would actually probably call and have lunch with, and talking about how he hires the right people and how he does his due diligence but that is a very common theme of all the greats. I wish I bought that house 3 years ago.
Yeah,
of course.
It's the same thing. I wish I had that transaction coordinator a year earlier.
I think the biggest thing is just overthinking things. Because at the end of the day, it's just like, just do it. I mean, literally, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? Just buying that house. I mean, we've bought a lot of real estate in the last 2.5 years, and I just wish we figured out how to get started even sooner. So that kind of stuff.
Well, you guys are way too young. Trust me, I should be thinking that, not you. Let's just I want to round up, and then I just go into my standard last couple questions, my 2-minute warning questions. But give your spiel, and I'd like to just from both of you give about 30 seconds. Why should an agent be calling you guys? And we touched on a lot of the things, but let's summarize it up here at the
when
end.
you say why should an agent be calling us?
Why should an agent
join the
who
team?
really wants to move into another level? What is the Newcomer Group going to because I really feel. People go to employers or they go to a brokerage because they see a value that they're going to get from it.
Sure.
Right. So what is your give me the operational pitch, Sadie, of what support you're going to give them from the back.
Yeah, so as a newer agent or even as a seasoned agent, that we have all the systems. We have a really sophisticated CRM system. We use Dotloop for our transaction management. You can access that, anywhere. There's even an app on your phone. You can pull up anything, write a contract on your phone even if you need to. And then you also have so much back-end admin support from all of us that you're never alone throughout a transaction trying to figure out, what are my timelines, have I missed this deadline kind of thing, that there are so many people doing your checks and balances with you throughout the entire process that, the one thing that you should focus on is once you get someone under contract, you should just try and get another customer under contract for something else.
So if I'm Luke, I'm really good at the front end. I love that initial conversation, winning the people over and getting them at least on my team. They're following me around and looking at the house, whatever, the front end. If I'm really good at that, what is it that you are going to do for me to make my life easier? Are you going to offer that service? Or Luke comes in, he's like super front end, so I want him on front end all day long.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Are you going to be able to give him that back office support, double check that contract really quick, correct it, whatever it needs to be, whatever communication?
Absolutely.
Are you going to take it from there?
1,000%.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would almost, to that question, I want to be clear, we're definitely not for everybody.
Yeah.
And part of that question before I answered is what are you going to do for us? Because we're not just in the business to just grow people. We want them to bring some sort of value to the team as well. Mm-hmm. But, you're saying, hey, this is what I want to focus on. I'm very big on, it's like, okay, putting the splits aside, what the day looks like, it's like, what do you want to do? Tell me that, and then I will do everything in my power to get you to where you want to go and what you want to do. Not everybody wants to make $500,000 a year, or
They think they do. Until they have to put the...
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And some people are like, look, I just, I want a little bit more time back for my family. Well, that's great. Guess what? Because we have assigned times when you can manage the phone, so you can actually customize how your week needs to look. Whether you need those Saturdays off to take your kids to the game or whatever that might look like, bringing people's times back and kind of some structure and accountability, we can do. I mean, it's not a one-size-fits-all, and not everybody's the same on our team.
A lot of the conversations I've been having recently is doing what you do, doing it well, 10xing, whatever that is. And I think too many people are trying to be, jack of all trades.
Yes.
you could get yourself spread thin where you're not actually doing the money making thing.
Yeah.
You're too busy back here doing this other stuff that isn't making you the money, and you go good month, bad month, good month, bad month, and you're in this.
Even this, I mean, sitting on this podcast, I mean, how many people talk about doing a podcast, spend all this money and time getting it up and running, and then don't just do it consistently like you're doing?
Right.
So, it goes back to what you just said. It's just like getting people focused in on the money-making activities and things that they're committed to doing, because so many people just want to do it all, and then they do everything inefficiently.
Right, and then match with the people that are going to do the administrative and handhold appraisers and all that.
We are the perfect fit for somebody that wants to prospect, go on appointments, negotiate deals. Nothing else should be thought about.
We're going to wrap up. Here's my 2-minute warning questions. You guys have a lot of things, but I'm going to make you narrow it down to one. What is your most, if you could do only this on Sunday morning, what would it be? What's your favorite thing to do here down at the St. Augustine Beach?
On Sunday
Well,
morning.
no, I'm going to expand it to Northeast Florida because maybe you like to go kayaking on the St. John's. I don't know. What is if you just could able to do one thing? Because you guys do a lot of this stuff. So what's your favorite?
Man, that's hard. I'm gonna say go to the beach.
Just hang out at the beach?
Yeah, it's right there. Weather's perfect.
I'm going to say waking up, getting to surf, cruising into the day with some coffee, just like, and then maybe having a tea time later in the day. Truly just having an uninterrupted Sunday
Right.
is perfect in my opinion. We're pretty simple people from that standpoint for hanging out, but like,
And of course, a good meal.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably a couple of good meals.
Okay. Is it more important who you know or what you know? And why? Sadie?
I think it's what you know,
What you know?
for sure.
See, I think it's who you know.
Yeah. I could have answered for him.
But that's why we're a good team.
Exactly. That's the visionary and the integrator, and I
Yeah.
think that's the mesh. And because I brought this up and we talked about it before show about the amazing couples that we have in the area that are working real estate together, and they clearly are. One is a visionary and one is an integrator. The Cotton team, Caitlin is the visionary, Josh is the integrator, and brings it down. And I see that with the two
And
of
I
you
don't
guys.
think it works well if both couples want to do the exact same thing.
No,
it's
it
like, I almost would say that's toxic. It's like, let's figure out what the roles are and run with it, especially if you're going to grow and scale and bring people on.
I think what we just talked about, the great success, finding out what you do. Like you said, you have narrowed down, just like you and I are very similar. We're good at a couple different things. Just let us just focus on it because our ADD won't, let us go out there.
And I'm like, no, let's rein it back in. Like.
She's got the bigger picture. Let her carry the ball the first 80 yards. We'll get it across the goal line.
Exactly.
Guys, I appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks
Great
for having us. This
conversation.
was a ton of fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this. Great podcast. Everybody should be listening to this.
Thank you.